Hello and welcome to Politically Incorrect Knitters. My name is Ann Pinkava, joined as always by the lovely Deplorable Knitter.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us this week.
And we are sponsored by Lynn of Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. You can go to chickenladyfiberarts.com and get 20% off your order using the code Cardinal20 PIK because Lynn's new theme of the year are bird themes, state birds in particular. And she has a beautiful cardinal colorway. So go ahead and check that out while you're there. She's also doing national parks, so she has a couple of kits going, and yeah, absolutely beautiful stuff. And you can get beautiful yarns, such as this month's giveaway, which is icy blue. It's perfect, it's delicate, it's everything you want, and you can win it by commenting below on this video.
Yes, her yarns are so very pretty. And I guess I'll show off my knitting because I'm using one and I want to tell you about it. I don't know if you can see this, but the green is something I actually dyed on my own. But this color in here is her spun sugar. Oops. So the green is a hand dyed that I did. And then the other colors are this spun sugar. And she sent me the skein, or I bought it from her. I don't remember, but the colors are out of rainbow order. So it's a little bit different. If you were to get your own, it wouldn't look like this. It would be similar, just a little different order.
Same colors, different order.
Yeah, we're celebrating Christmas with my niece this weekend, and her favorite color is the really ridiculously bright green. And I just thought that it looked really pretty with this. And I know you can't see the stranded knitting terribly well, but I thought it would be like fun, and it's also nice and warm for her. So,
Yep.
you know.
No, it's really pretty and delicate.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. And even though she loves the color green, I thought, well, like
Mix it
too
up a
much
little
of a
bit.
good thing, don't want it to be a little overwhelming. So that's what
Mhm.
I've been working on. What about you? What you got?
Well, I am very excited because I am working on this quilt pattern for Blocked magazine. It'll be in there. A couple people are testing it, which is super excited. But ta-da!
Oh, that's really cool, Anne.
Yeah. And I have a couple of these squares here because they're not really seamed together. Let me stick a knitting needle in it and fake it a little bit. That's right. All right.
Um, when you showed it a couple of weeks ago on Knitting Wars, I really was not having any luck visualizing it. And now that I see it together, I'm like, okay, now it makes a lot more sense.
You're like, well, that's just a weird garter square. Here, do you like my Fako seam? There we go. That. So then you can that's still messy, but you can kind of see how it will be when it's together. So, anyways,
That's cool. It's
there.
really different.
Yeah, I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I'm excited. And it's one of those funny things because these little minis I said before, but DK gave them to me for Christmas a while back. And then I ran out of yarn for it, so I've had to add new things in. Here, like this guy, which was this year's Christmas present from DK. I threw in a little extra of her blue. And so
You kill me.
anyways, I know, and I have square number 3 because this is only the sample version. I want to like I only want to do one of these squares, and like I said before, that I want to use all of Lynn's minis from her Christmas advent and do a, lovely hand-dyed version. I think that'd be very pretty. But I don't know. I like this. I'm excited. I think I finally got all the details figured out because which one is it? Yeah. This one. I don't know if you can tell. I think I may have mentioned this on Knitting Wars, but that the center seams I didn't like how they were turning out. Like you can even see in there that this one is nicer than that one. So I didn't know what my problem was, that I couldn't get them. Like this one looks kind of weird and knotted and everything. But I figured that out here with this one. So at least I think it looks nicer, but we'll see how it goes and if it works for other people, which is a big
Yeah,
thing.
that's always a big thing.
Right.
But I like I like that they're kind of defined in there, like you can see the seams. It's not all invisible.
Right. And here I was here. This I there's a lot of ends in this, and I only just started weaving them in, and this will probably be the death of me is weaving all the ends. But I began with this one, and you can kind of see the inside too. So it'll set. I hope it looks nice by the end of it all. Anyways,
Yeah, I'd like to see a couple, like all the squares laid out together so you can kind of see like how it would go together.
right, right, and I'll have to sew them up too and see how that is.
Mhm.
But
Because
yeah,
I'm not a modular knitting person. So you showing me these squares that are gonna like someday be something, I'm like,
uh,
okay, like so
oh
what?
yeah, and it's like when people are like, I made all these granny squares, and you're like, that's fantastic. How's it gonna look at the end? So yeah, at the end will be something. But yeah, I'm excited. Gonna be a great stash buster project. And part of the thing is too, is that I have these other things that I have planned in DK yarn. And like even things where I'm like, oh, that'll be a sweater or that'll be a shawl, or I have two skeins of this and you have to save it. And now I'm looking at all of those skeins sideways now because I want to take them and use them in my blanket. I'm like, oh, this is a lovely skein of hand dyed, yeah, I'll make a cowl or something. That'll be great. Now I'm like, but it could be a blanket now. I could make little squares of that.
I don't get you and your blankets, but if it makes you happy, that's fine. I mean, I think before we started, you did say that you were on your couch in a pile of blankets. So I don't know. Do you like nest in them?
Yes. It's cold here, okay? It's January, it's high wind chill, more snow's probably coming, you know, it's chilly.
You live in the tundra. I
I
understand.
live in the tundra. I like to be warm.
I was complaining this morning to my husband because I was checking the weather and it's been like 40s and 30s and we haven't had much snow. And next week it's going to be like in the 20s during the day and in the teens at night. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be freezing. Like, we shouldn't even go out in this. And he's just looking at me because even though I'm a wuss, we do live in New York and it does get cold. And,
Right.
but yeah, we haven't had it. And I'm like, I'm so spoiled. Like,
I know it's been such a warm year.
that's fun. But before we like go on to other stuff, I wanted to tell all of our friends that I have started listening to a new book series. It's Dean Koontz and it's the Jane Hawk series. And I was listening to it and it's all about like government corruption and they're trying to like inject these nano machines into people's brains and like there's corruption and homeland security and stuff. And I'm reading them and I'm going, this dude is not a liberal. Like, I don't know what his politics are, but there's not a chance in hell that he is a liberal. So I had to go look him up. And he describes himself as like as far as like civil rights and stuff, he's a liberal, but like for other things, he's like libertarian. Like he doesn't want government, he doesn't want. And so like I used to read Dean Koontz years back, and the only reason I even picked up this book right now is because on my Audible subscription, it was a free book, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it. I always liked his books before,
Right.
and I've got 50 minutes of the second one to go. So once my kids go to bed, I want to finish that. But yeah, I just wanted to like put it out there. The Jane Hawk series by Dean Koontz. Um, it's been fun. It's kind of sci-fi because maybe sci-fi because they're putting things in people's brains. I don't know. it's it's weird. kind of bizarre, fun, suspense. She's a rogue FBI agent who never gets in trouble. Like, you think you're reading the book or you're listening to it and you're like, oh no, something's gonna happen, and then she squeaks by. Something happens where she gets out of the pickle. And but I've enjoyed it, and the fact that not only is it not woke, but it's also like a little bit more right leaning. I'm like, okay, this is like really awesome, because I can't tell you how long it's been since I picked up a book and I was like, it wasn't something I don't agree with being shoved down my throat. So I was like thrilled.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that with everybody, because
It wasn't, yeah, it wasn't like the latest James Bond books who the villain is, they actually say in the book, he does evil things like, push vaccine conspiracies. And you're like, ugh.
Speaking of evil things.
But yeah. Oh, talking of books, I got this in the mail. This chunky boy. It is. I didn't expect it to be this big because, okay, so book is Shadow of the Conqueror by Shad M. Brooks, and he's a YouTube guy. Basically his channel is Mythbusters if you were Mythbusters in Australia, but it's all medieval stuff. So it's
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you just say it was Mythbusters in Australia?
No,
but
not
it's
this
medieval?
book, his YouTube channel.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got distracted there for a second. So
No,
his YouTube channel is Australian Mythbusters.
Yes. And
but his book is medieval.
Yes, his book is fantasy. Okay. So yeah, make sure that there's a difference between the two. But no, his YouTube channel is great. It's all swords and castle and history and stuff. And it's all, if there's anything not kid appropriate, it's like in the title. So it's one of those things like, if a little kid who's really interested in medieval stuff and they want to learn about swords, perfect. Awesome. No, but it's also really funny because, okay, of the several crowdfunding books that I own by YouTubers, which is kind of something that is stacking up.
That is a very niche genre, I gotta say. The crowdfunded books by YouTubers, the anons.
Yes, which I've owned several, and it's hilarious. Okay, so this one, the book had come out before, but he did the graphic novel, and I'd like ordered this last summer, and they only finally came. And he had some issues with the printing and stuff. But I got whatever promo it was that got the original book along with the graphic novel because I hadn't read the original book. And it's so funny. I'm only like 2 chapters in. And okay, I don't know if I actually ranted about this on video, but I ranted with you and with Katie before we interviewed her that one time about Razorfist's book The Long Moonlight, and how not to over analyze someone I don't know personality through what I see from YouTube, but you have The Long Moonlight, which is it's very clever in its descriptions, but it's also difficult to just like let the story be the story. You kind of have the author's voice in your head the whole time. And also, like, he's so coy about the plot. You're like, hey, tell me your story. And he's like, well, it's like it's about a thief and stuff. And you're like, so tell me more. It's like, you're just gonna have to imagine it. Like, really, I bought your book. I want you to tell me the story. It's like, so this thief, there's a girl involved. It's like, yeah, not gonna talk about her though. Like, you could. That's part of the book. It's like, it's not making eye contact with you. It's like, well, I'll tell you some descriptions about this door. And I'm like, really would love some background exposition. That's all I want.
I do remember this discussion. I don't know if it was on screen or not. I'm sure our viewers will be able to tell us, but
I think it was off screen. But anyways, so that whereas, okay, the Shadow of the Conqueror, the entire thing is if not only does Shad know his subject matter, he loves his subject matter. He will tell you every single thing. He's like, you're like, hey, I'm like a page into the book. He's like, oh man, we got flying cities. We have technology. We have sky ships. We have a evil guy. We have an empire destroyed. We have different ways of speaking, but we'll explain what the different words mean immediately. But like they'll be long enough, so you'd be like, oh, why is he using that phrasing? And then I'll explain to you. And then everything's happening, and this is how the cities work. And then it's just like it is like so bright and excited and like not self-conscious at all. And you're like, okay, this is a lot of information and I don't quite get it yet, but I'm sure it'll all make sense once it becomes a part of the story. And it's okay, I can go back and look. He's like, and this is great, and this is the people groups, and it's this, and some people have purple hair naturally, and this is how it goes. And then and this is how the technology works and why the technology works this way in order for the skyships to work. And it's all like going on at such a rapid pace, and everything is like bright and colorful and very excited to be there, that I don't know, it's very entertaining that way. But and even
It sounds fun. I love it when a book like gets right into it. Like,
Mhm.
oh hey, bestie, we're back. Like, let's get right to it. Like, instead of the whole like, hey, should we get to know each other? No, I don't want to get to know you. Just tell me everything right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, oh, it's not like, oh, well, it's really clever if you think about it. I'm like, only give me so much to think about. I will think about whatever you say. If you could give me the basic facts, that would be fantastic. That would be awesome. That would be
I concur. I hate it when you're like waiting for it to go or waiting to find out something that you feel like you should have known like a day ago. Like, come on, you know.
yeah, the big buildup of the story shouldn't be something I have to logic puzzle out. Like I should wonder what's going to happen, and then it should happen plainly. Like,
Right. I mean, I'm not even a big fan of stuff that have an ending that you have to puzzle out. I read a book that still stuck with me, Verity by Colleen Hoover, if you want to know. And I'm still not sure how I feel about the ending. I probably read that book like over the summer. Like, and I'm still thinking about that ending. And sometimes that's good. I don't know if it's good in this case. I still don't know how I feel about it all these months later. But yeah, no, you don't want to logic out the whole middle of it. I'm still trying to logic out the ending, and I don't know if I like it or if I'm
right.
right. Or there probably isn't a right answer, but I still don't know. It's
Mhm.
very upsetting, the whole thing.
I know if you have sort of a slightly cliffhanger ending, if it's like an Inception thing of is he in the dream still or not, we don't know. At least there was like a beginning, middle, and end of the whole plot. You're
Hmm.
like, okay, that all makes sense. That's cool. That's fine.
Yeah. I think I understand the ending, but still, I just don't like it. You know what it was? Maybe it's not that I didn't understand it. I just didn't like where it went. So maybe that's more of an
You're
accurate
like,
description, but
that's a bummer.
yeah. So anyway, random.
Speaking of books and mysteries, there's actually a knitting tie-in to all of this.
Oh, yes.
Yes, because it is Who Done Knit by Amy of Two Sisters and Some Yarn. That is all going on. And we have two clues because we totally biffed the first one. So we have two clues. Clue of the week number 1 is shrimp, and clue number 2 is French. So shrimp and French.
Yeah.
And
And
I
make
will
of that what you will.
you make of that what you will. And I will say that that makes no sense to me yet because I haven't read it yet, but I will read it yet because it's a great challenge and it's a great idea.
I read the first chapter, the first installment, whatever we're calling them, and it was really good. I must have been doing something when she sent the second one because I meant to read it. I had it pulled up and then, oh, maybe it was, we had a power outage, we had an internet outage. We had some stuff happening here at the house this week. So that's probably why it got forgotten. Because all of a sudden I was like, what is happening? Like, I can't use my phone. And it's amazing how dependent we are on internet in this house. My husband had to go into the office. I don't think that man has gone into the office since before COVID.
Wow.
So like it was all the whole thing was very stressful. My kids are like, oh hey, can we watch this? And I'm like, no, that's on the internet. Can we play Roblox? No, that's on the internet. Well, what can we do? Read a book, watch a DVD. Everybody wants you to go, digital, buy your digital copies of stuff. No, I want the DVDs so that when my power is out and the generator's running, we can sit here and watch movies.
We still have them and we don't have to pay for them.
Yeah,
Or they don't suddenly disappear from the service you're paying for.
true. I mean, as a wrong thinker too, they probably will decide that I'm not allowed to enjoy mainstream media at some point. So I have my own stock. I'm good. Thank you.
You have Star Trek now. You're fine.
We did not start that though. I think my husband was too upset. I think that he was too stressed out about the generator and the internet and having to. So I was like, hey, let's watch something. He's like, I don't want to watch anything. I'm like, okay. Like,
Hey, buddy.
see you later. Go out
Have
to the
fun.
barn. Have fun.
Oh,
Yes.
and also in knitting and reading world, that Stephanie of Texas Peach Knits and Holly of Mystery Mouse Yarn, and Emily of Woldenberg, that they have their fancy reading and needlecraft club, and they're reading Scarlet Pimpernel now.
That's very exciting. I know
Which is
Texas
awesome.
Peach Knits. We've had her on and we've had
Mhm.
Holly on, but I'm not familiar with the other person. Who is that?
Oh, Emily. Emily of Woldenburn. She's so sweet. She's just lovely.
What does she
But
do?
she has a podcast.
Is it knitting?
It is knitting.
Really?
Yeah. No, she's great. She's really lovely and sweet. And she did kind of a vlogmas thing. And yeah, it was nice. She crocheted these really pretty little stars for her tree. And which I want to try sometime. But yeah.
That sounds lovely. I mean, you do have your empty tree behind you still. So,
I know, which I need to take down because it's past Christmas, but whatever.
yeah, ours didn't come down. Ours came down the day my husband went to work because then I didn't have him helping me, which I sound like I hate my husband. He is fantastic and lovely and wonderful. But when you guys are always in the same house together and you're homeschooling your kids and you're working from home and everybody's together, sometimes it's a little extra. So that's all.
Oh, I find that, I mean, I've always found it very difficult to clean if like other people are in the house. Like if you need vacuuming or even like big house cleaning things, I'm like, no, go away. If you're here, I want to talk to you. If not, then I can finally clean stuff without interference. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
almost like, it's a shame and dishonor, and I would rather do this alone. Like I don't need you in my face while I'm cleaning. You know?
The shame and dishonor. You just referred to
Yeah.
my entire livelihood as a shame and dishonor. Thank you very
No,
much.
but you don't clean houses when the person's standing there, even if it's your own house. So at least that's for me. That it's like either we are both cleaning the house or you're out, I'm cleaning.
Yeah.
It's like I don't
No,
want to
I
scrub
am
this while you're watching.
right. No, I'm more productive too when I'm alone, just because it's just easier. I love to listen to podcasts and audiobooks as I talk about all the time. And so I put my headphones in and I will be vacuuming with both headphones in. And my husband will be standing there looking at me with the vacuum running, trying to talk to me. And I'll be like, do you really have to talk to me right now? Like, really? Like, come on. But hey, that's okay. I sound like a man hater today. I apologize. I'm tired.
Today you're just like, get out of my face.
Yeah, no, I did. I loved him going to work though. It was fantastic. And he did get, there's just, you're right. Like, not that I won't clean when people are around because I live with people, but also
Right. You can't help it.
when you're alone, it's just amazing how different it is and how much you can get done. And like, it's all good. I know we were going to talk about like a couple of political things, but right before we got on here, I saw something on Craft Snark and I wanted to ask you your opinion on it.
Oh
It's
yes.
nothing that you're thinking of. There's this woman named Elise Myers. She's got like 3.5 million followers on Instagram. She sings and she's very awkward. I don't know if she has autism or like ADHD or something, but she talks about like all of these. I watch her because she's funny. She'll be like, "Oh, what? You want to hear about my most embarrassing first date? Thanks for asking. I'd love to tell you." And she tells these stories about how, because she's awkward, the date went and it was so like it, and she has a way of presenting these stories that are really funny, even though it's like I would be traumatized if it happened to me, but it's funny because she's laughing about it and you can laugh about it. So anyway, she started crocheting maybe over the summer when those water balloon animals were like a big thing. Do you remember when people were making those? And so she did a granny square pattern. And I mean, granny square patterns are granny square patterns. Everybody's got a granny square. Mm-hmm. So she took somebody's pattern and she made a tutorial of it and put it up. And if that wasn't bad enough, it was for the woman was selling the pattern for charity. So she was keeping 50 cents for herself and $3 was going to the charity. And so in the comments, some people are like telling her it's wrong, but most people are like, oh, whatever, it's not a big deal. It's a granny square. There are granny squares everywhere. And on Craftsnark, that's kind of what they were saying. Like, oh, it's a daisy granny square. People have been making those since the 70s. I'm sorry, if I took the time to figure out how to make the granny square look this way, and I wrote a pattern about it, and then you and Pinkava bought my pattern, and then you have a big following, and you were like, hey, I'm going to just make a tutorial to show you guys how to do this. That's wrong, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if she is telling you every part of the pattern in the video, essentially making your pattern useless, yeah, that's pretty obnoxious.
Yeah. And it's for charity on top of it. Like, I'm just like, even if she's not telling everything, if she's giving enough information that you can get the finished item to look the same,
mm-hmm.
like, you're taking it away from that. I don't know. It's something weird about it. Like, mm-hmm. And then the question came up, who can make tutorials for pattern? Who has the right to do that?
Like, well, and part of it too is that it's a paid for pattern. Like, giving away everything of a paid for pattern is a jerk thing. Now, you could say like, well, it's such a common pattern that I'm sure you could get a free version of it and totally do a tutorial for it, and that's fine. It's like, yes, but that's not what's going on here.
Right. People were like, well, sewers there's tons of pattern tutorials for sewing. But with sewing, you have to buy the pattern.
Right.
You could show me every step, but I don't have the proportions and the dimensions and what to cut if I don't buy the pattern. So that's like a different, if you're going to sit there and show me how to put it together, I will sit there and watch it all day long, because even though I can sew, it doesn't mean I like to or I want to. So if you take all of the hard parts out of it for me, that's fantastic. But I don't know. It was just interesting because I expected more anger about it. We live in the knitting world. It is angry here, right? Like, everybody's always mad about something. And then they were just kind of like, oh, well, yeah, it's kind of a jerk move, but it's kind of not. And I'm like, so if she was someone else, if it was us doing a free pattern, making it into a tutorial, would they be like all over us? Or like, I just, because I was so strongly like, this is wrong. You shouldn't do that. And then people were kind of like, oh, well, maybe not. I was like, am I wrong? I didn't think I was, but.
Right. And also it's a level of like, well, it's copyright to begin with, but also it's a knitting or crafting in general world etiquette thing too, where it's like, no, I have here Sweet Shop blanket, which pattern I'm now not using because I'm inventing my own. Anyways, but I know in etiquette, showing you the first page, fine. Nobody's complaining about that. If I were to go in and show here, page I can show you, this is a different pattern. It's also very cute. But if I was to go in and like show you every single line in detail, people would be like, whoa, because you're giving away the copyrighted information.
Yeah. Like, so. That's always, and I think that you kind of hit it right there. It's etiquette. Like, it's something that you've learned from other crafters and people and what to do. You've learned what to do in these situations. You can show the front page, you can show the materials and the gauge and the yarn and the things like that don't give away any secrets, but
Right.
like I would never be like, okay, so this is Anne's hat pattern, and what we're gonna do to get this design is
Right.
to
Feel like, hey, I'm selling that, bro. Like, nah,
yeah.
it's not important.
And then on top of
Here's
it
the
though,
charts.
like I think it's kind of a odd move. And then on top of it, it's like a charity thing. And I'm like, dude, if you're gonna like go and do this to anybody's pattern, let's not do it to the chick who's trying to raise money for something. I don't even know what the
Right.
charity is. It could be trans youth. I have no idea. I'm just
Mm.
saying this is what I saw before we got on.
No,
I
but
was interested by it.
it's her pattern to use the profits for
Mhm.
whatever charity she wants to, and she's putting out whatever charity is there. So if you don't want to support the charity, then don't. If the charity's great, then great. I don't know.
Right. But it was just one of those things where I was like, I usually there's so much anger when it comes to these kinds of things that everybody's kind of like quiet about it. I'm like, have I been in this too long? Have I been in the knitting world too long and now I'm just angry? I mean, we know
Right.
I'm angry. That's fine. The
I know.
resting bitch face. That's fine.
I know. We just like to be angry about things, as has been said by detractors.
Obviously. Hmm. What else is there to do besides be angry and knit?
I mean, nothing at all.
I mean, hey, you want to know what I did today, this afternoon? Can you see my arm? Yeah, it's right here. I couldn't see the band-aid on the screen. That's why I knew where my arm was, just in case anybody was asking. But can you see it? I went and gave blood today.
Hey.
So there's something nice you guys can do. It doesn't cost anything. Just in case, for all the people who think we're mean. One thing we did want to talk about today, though, was all the migrants.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was one of the items that was like the only item I had because I watched the news and then I got real angry about it and then I saw more stuff about it. And before anybody thinks I don't like migrants, that's not the case. I think people who come here the proper way are lovely and wonderful. But they should do their paperwork. They shouldn't just come flooding across the border because we have a mealy mouth person that just lets them do whatever they want to.
Great. And also, okay, hi, I'm from the great state of South Dakota. Hi, we don't have 1 million people. There are several million people coming through the border, several entire states of South Dakota worth of people coming in through the border.
Right.
And why? What advantages is it? They're
well,
and also it's they're dreamers, they're refugees. No. If they're refugees, they're going through the proper channels. These are not refugees. These are not.
Mm-hmm. It's the way they choose to do it that bothers me. So that's my point. Right. But I heard a story on the news today that there are schools in Massachusetts that are doing remote learning because their schools are housing illegals.
Right.
And that's just the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my whole life.
Right. And I saw a meme here, the Third Amendment. It's my time to shine. Third Amendment being that the government cannot force you to house and quarter soldiers without, proper things. Anyway, but that we are with our tax dollars, we are paying specifically our property taxes, we are paying for schools and their upkeep, and our grades of our students are not doing well, especially after COVID. So we're going to go back to not in person, to remote learning, and which have worse results of our already crap system and all of the different issues that this caused with kids and isolation and stuff. And, that is coming from me, who is a big proponent of homeschooling, but also homeschooling is where you actually learn stuff for the most part.
Well,
and there's also systems going on.
Homeschooling, people think, somebody said that my kids were unsocialized because we homeschool. And I responded by sending them a picture of my kids and a group of 11 other kids, because just because you homeschool doesn't mean you're isolated. Like, that's a misconception about the whole thing. But what you're saying is true. remote learning didn't work. We have the lowest reading levels in 30 years. And we know this. There's data, there's proof, we know this. And now they're choosing to put the kids in remote learning again so they can house migrants, which makes no sense. If I was a taxpayer in that district, you better believe I would be outside of that school every day. I'd be at my governor's office, we, as a homeschooler, we pay a lot of school taxes here in New York, thousands of dollars every year. And every year my husband writes the check and he goes, are you sure we don't want to send them to school because it's so much money? And I'm like, no, we don't want to send them to school. But also, as a school taxpayer, why the hell are they doing that? I support it as a person, as a homeowner, a property owner in my state. I pay taxes for the schools. Who made that choice? Like, how? It boggles the mind that this is even a conversation for real.
Yeah, and aren't you glad that you paid all this money for school books and railings and carpet and all of these things and little desks and tables and poster boards and all of these teachers' salaries and, for the lunch ladies and for, all the little bits, basketballs for the gym, everything down the line that you pay for in a school. Okay, the entire building itself is going to be in worse repair now that it's a migrant holding center than it was if it's a school. So you're going to have to fix it up afterwards if you ever get it back. What about in 6 months' time, if the parents are finally like, hey, my kid's grades are going down worse, I think we should change this program. So what's going to change there? What are they going to do? Where are the migrants going to? Where is the eventual place? Because you would assume it'd be like, hey, a large group of people living in a school, that doesn't really work out. What's the long-term program? And there's already whispers of, oh, no, they want to put them in homes. And, whoa, hey, are they paying for the homes? Are they working? What's going on? Why are they here? Are they, enjoying the stay? What's going, it's all these questions. Like there's not room for these people. It doesn't make sense for them to be here at all. Why are we keeping them and why are we paying for them? And the VA also is doing migrant cases, illegal alien cases instead of doing things that they ought to be doing for vets. That's ridiculous.
Well, did you see that in O'Hare Airport in Chicago that they have whole sections that are housing them? Right. Big black curtains up where people are living behind the curtains in the freaking airport. First off, the airport is the worst place on earth. I don't want to be in there for 30 minutes, much less live there. And then, but how is this a solution? And you see them and it's all men.
Also, they're all men. They're shipping them across the country. And most of them it's not like, oh, well, the dreamers, the little children who are being recycled back and forth over the border and sometimes just abandoned because they don't care about the kids. You're like, oh, no, it's just all these families hoping for a lovely future. I'm like, yes, all of those women and children. Oh, wait, no, it's fighting age men. That's weird.
Yeah. And when all of them are undocumented, you don't know who they are. Even if 90% of them are good people, that 10% is a lot. It's a lot of bad actors that are just now here chilling, whatever. And then California has decided that they're going to pay for them to have Medicare and stuff, or Medicaid, whichever one. How is this fair to the people that live here? It's once again, it's makes my brain hurt, Anne. I haven't said this in a while because we haven't done one of these shows where we get into a topic this deep. It makes my brain hurt because who has decided that we need to pay for people who don't belong here in the first place? Stop coming here. There's nothing here for anybody. Fix your own countries. That's what we want to do. We want to fix our problems. We don't need more problems.
Right. And also it's the this has been said about Mexico a lot. That's like the issues of Mexico that a lot of them are sort of shunted off by people, like, oh, well, if it sucks in Mexico, go to America if you have any impetus to fix anything, you're like, oh, well, just, go to America and it'll be fine. It's like, I'm sorry, why can't Mexico be a good country? Really?
Yeah.
Why can't it's like, oh, well, they come from all these, like, I'm sorry, fix your crap. Okay, we're not saying that whatever country you come from cannot be good. It's this bizarro mentality that, oh, well, if these people come to America, it's being physically in America that makes your life big and beautiful and prosperous. It's like, no, you can be happy and prosperous in non-American places. It's amazing.
Many
Why?
people are.
Yeah,
There are many countries that are lovely and wonderful. You don't have to come here. And if there's problems
yeah.
in your country, fix them. And I'm not saying, because everybody's going to be like, oh, they said migrants can't come. Immigrate the proper way. Come and do it the proper way. Hey, how about instead of us giving people random money, they pay the fees to file papers and do the thing to become citizens or residents or whatever, get a visa. There are many different things that can be done to come and live here properly that do not involve going across the river. Just saying.
Right.
So,
And also it's like, if it's no value to our country, why have them in? You're like, oh, well, people from other countries add no value. It's like there's plenty of people who originated in other countries that are here already. We are lovely and a little happy American diverse melting pot with zero new people. We don't need them. Like, even to, it's like, you can come from anywhere and be an American. Yeah, a lot of people have come from a lot of places already. We can shut the doors right now, and we still have most of the world's population represented as Americans. We are
we're fine.
A-okay. We good.
But I don't know who decided that the best place to house these people was in a school.
Mhm.
That is not them thinking about their constituents or the people that they're representing, or that's them thinking about their bottom line, their dollar, their agenda, and that's not okay.
Right, when even the mayor of New York is like, oh no, we can't have, it's like, we're a happy sanctuary city. Actually, they're filling up hotels now, and we can't have that. And
Right.
I mean, hotels are being, like the rooms are being paid for again by government. But still, it is a certain amount of seizure of property, and it is, a damage to property afterwards.
When people get something for nothing, they don't value it. So why are these people going to take care of the hotel rooms or the places that they're housed in? Why are they think that they get everything for free here? There's no reason to value something when you know that if it's ruined, you just get more or something better, which happens a lot too. So,
Right.
Anyway, those are my feelings about that.
Well,
Well,
we have, it's still election season. Yay. That DeSantis and Nikki Haley debated last night, and nobody cared.
nobody cared. Chris
Nobody
Christie
cared.
dropped out. I was pretty stoked about that.
Woohoo.
I remember when I liked him, and then he turned into a steaming pile of trash, and then I couldn't figure out why he thought he was running. Like,
I
who was
know.
voting for him?
I know, except for the mad jokes, man. There was this little thing just before he dropped out that there was I was like, oh, it's a hot mic moment and Chris Christie went down the line saying how much money is being spent in all of this, and that he, expects Haley and DeSantis to get together and whatever. And he's trashing Haley, saying she's not a possible candidate, and she really isn't. She's awful. But then the thing
She
is,
is
it's like,
awful. Sorry, Anne. The more she
go ahead.
opens her mouth, the worse it gets. Like, she's kind of like watching a car wreck. Like, you think it can't get worse, and then oh my god, all of a sudden it explodes because she just keeps getting worse. Like,
Yeah.
it's terrible. Okay, so
Like,
anyway,
can she drop the ball worse? No. We're still going. She still thinks she's there. At least she has Raytheon money to play with, so that's all good.
Sorry, but like Christy, she was one of those people that I used to like. I used to think she was great back when she was working with Trump and stuff,
hmm.
8 years ago. Now I'm like, geez, what is like I don't get it. Sorry. Anyway, yes. What were you gonna say?
No, no, I was just gonna say that, talk about hot mic moment, and then, it drops the feed. I'm like, Chris Christie has never dropped the feed ever. Ha. I don't believe you. I think there's the rest of this tape somewhere.
That's funny.
um, anyways, so yeah, that's going on. I don't know. I think it's ridiculous. I think, as I said before, and DeSantis is not, he's more Weasley by the day, which is unfortunate, but also I've heard a lot of people say things. It's like, oh, well, technically DeSantis has a more conservative record, or what DeSantis says is more conservative and whatever. And okay, Trump is so much better than his word. He has been, he continues to be. Like, yes, he's being held down by a lot of advisors and things, and you have people against him at every turn, and you have all these court cases and all these bogus filings, you know, being being in court for crimes that have never been prosecuted before. Is the sort of nonsense that he's dealing with. He's trying to get a little time in his court dates after the death of Melania's mother, and they say, "Oh, that's not allowed." Just stupid stuff going on. But and not to mention just straight up lies going through all the time. Whoopi Goldberg, there was this video of her saying that Trump is saying that he is literally that's like, oh, well, you know what you're voting for. Trump is literally a dictator. He's telling people he's literally a dictator, and he is going to round up the gays and journalists and shuffle them around and disappear them. And it's just, okay, it's funny. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they believe it. But all of the jokes is like, I'm already voting for him. Why are you telling? Stop making it.
I don't get it.
Talking with Trump and elections and things. Okay, that every single day that goes by, they push the more Trump is evil. He's super evil. He's super, super evil. Anyone who ever liked Trump or thought of liking Trump or thought of anybody who liked Trump in a positive way at all are the worst. Don't we know? And January 6th means something. That it's just that way all the time. Don't you know that Trump is evil? Don't you know he's a dictator? Well, obviously, any action that we have now, they're talking about people, that never entered the Capitol in January 6th. That there was, if you were just outside in the protest, that you are a danger to democracy, as in you were at a protest, that you thought there was something funny with the votes. So, in a democratic way, you were there making sure your voices were heard, saying, hey, I'm peacefully thinking that there might be something funny with the votes, but we have to prosecute those people because democracy.
Yeah, I'm not second guessing anybody, but I wish that they had gone after the Summer of Love people, because then I think that this whole January 6th thing may have been different, or I'm not sure, but it's okay for one person to do it, and to do it way more violently, mostly peaceful protests, but here we are with people who are truly peaceful, and they're like going after them. It's nonsense. I'm sorry.
You have the people who are inside at January 6th who there was a little fighting with the police officers. One person shot, Ashley Babbitt. The only person who died of result of violence that day was her. And there was no police officers who died of result of violence. So this guy had a heart attack, and that was that was the only person who died because of it. this is the worst day to our democracy. Trump incited a coup, and he incited violence and insurrection and insurrectionists and this and that. And no, it is like all the Trump derangement that had happened before is going worse. And it's happening all the time now that it's almost like, oh, well, Trump's in court again. Like, okay, whatever. I'm still
Right.
voting
And
for him. Biden came out and said the evil MAGA Republicans want to destroy our democracy. And we're like, okay, Joe, that's fun. And
cool.
it's like,
Go eat your
oh,
applesauce, man.
yeah, that's right. Oh, well, you have to vote for DeSantis because Trump isn't a viable candidate. And like, that's great. I will write in Donald Trump. And if you're like, that makes your ballot invalid, I will do it bigger. Like, every day this goes on, a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for screw you. And that means I'm going to vote harder. That's what I'm doing. That's the screw you. That's more.
I'm gonna
More.
vote
I'm not
harder.
gonna exactly. It's like, wow, I only have this one because, I'm not dead Democrat voter. But I'm like, hey, it's like, oh no, don't you wanna, vote for Vivek when they take Trump off the ballot? Like, no, I won't. No. See this guy? See that? No. Screw you. I'm still here. I'm still screw you voting Trump. That's me. It's like, oh, we're gonna twist the system and invalidate your vote harder. I'm like, I'm not gonna stop supporting him. I'm just not. Look at me. I'm right here. You can play all the little like, oh, well, he took a picture with Epstein once. I'm like, yeah. I don't care. Screw you. Also, he kicked him
Right.
out of Mar-a-Lago and he worked with police with Epstein and he once was on a plane that Epstein owned before Epstein had the island, going from one airport to another. Yeah. Still voting Trump.
Well, I think the whole you were saying it and it dawned on me, and maybe I'm slow to the thing, but you say insurrection enough, it feels to me like racist, fascist,
Uh,
homophobe. Like it's been said enough now that I'm like, okay, uh-huh. Like you think that that's something bad, but it doesn't mean what you think it means. Like
mm,
I know that there's insurrectionists, but it's not the people that they're going after.
yeah, and
So,
it's all of these attack of Civil War memorials. It's again, from the leftist viewpoint, we have insurrectionists are the awful and evil and the racists, and they're just like Confederates, man. They're so evil. And this is just the Civil War again, and this is a fight for the democracy against people who want to make non-white people slaves again because that's how that works. Donald Trump and his people, they're again, it's the rivalry thing that all Trump support is de facto support for white supremacy, which is stupid, and we all know it's stupid. But again, that's the viewpoint, that's the narrative. And they keep saying it over and over again. And we're like, it's still not true. It's still not true. Not any of it. And again, screw you. And they're like, and we're just going to be more deranged. It's like, that's nice. You just go off. You just go off, I guess, because I'm not changing. I'm not going to
yeah.
do it. Not going to
I
play.
that's the thing though. They're used to people being like, "Oh no, I don't want to be an insurrectionist. Oh no, I worry about what most of us don't actually care what people think." You can call me names, you can call me because I know at the end of the day I'm not one of those, and so whatever, like yeah,
Nice.
it's all crazy. And I do like Vivek, and I know that you don't care for him. I wouldn't mind if he ran with Trump. That would be fine with me at this point, but maybe I'm wrong,
I don't know.
and that's fine.
He says a lot of nice things, and like he was at a rally for no property seizure for personal gain. They would use eminent domain to take properties. I like that is a great issue, and definitely people should be concerned and worry about that. Um, he's a little Ken doll for me still. He
Mhm.
says he stands on his mark and he says exactly the right thing, and he doesn't say the wrong thing, which is
Mhm.
weirder. And he never steps out of line. And he's very perfect and he's very polished and he smiles. And I don't trust
maybe
him.
maybe he has one of those nano implants from the book I'm reading because they can use it to tell people what to do and what to say.
Mm.
Just saying.
I don't know. He's like the conservative version of Justin Trudeau, okay? That I'm like, there's something a little off about this dude. And it's not just, I mean, in Vivek's case, he's saying what I want him to say. In Trudeau's, he's saying some crazy crap. But it's like, you're just like so polished. And I really don't like it. I'm
Mhm.
just, again, it's
Yeah,
like, okay, technically, you're not saying anything wrong, but also, no.
but
And
being polished isn't you may not enjoy polished, but being polished isn't a reason
right.
that somebody is bad. Just,
It's not necessarily a bad thing. There's a couple of background connections that you're like, well, he's got
yeah,
some
I know.
pharmacy connections, he's got some World Economic Forum connections that are going like, but also, okay, another thing. Hello, I am old. I am very old. I am like been in this for a while. I
How,
remember, yes,
how old are you? Because I'm
no,
pretty sure you're not that old.
no. And you're like, no, I'm older than you. It's like, and many people of this audience will be older than me. I get it. But also, I've been following politics from a young age. And I remember the days my first vote was for Mitt Romney. And I know a lot of you voted earlier than that, but also I understood then and I understood before then, and I got it all. Look, I knew how crap McCain was at the time, and that was the Republican candidate. Okay. And people were voting for Sarah Palin and all of that. And I entirely get the mentality of Mitt Romney being the most conservative option, which sucks. But also, I get you vote for the guy and hope some good comes of it because it's better than Obama. Okay. And the old days of George Bush and the Iraq War and all of that. Okay. I remember all of that. In the olden days before Trump, we used to have these Republican candidates that really sucked and weren't conservative or weren't actually aligned with their base, that the base was way more conservative than the Republicans, and that's how we got Trump isn't about Trump is about the base. Trump is about the Tea Party. Trump is about actually listening to the voters and getting what the voters actually want to be done. Things like no regulations, things like foreign policy and tariffs and how we relate with the rest of the world, and not paying for things, in NATO without getting any return on it. That is actual things that the Trump base wants, that the actual conservative base, or I should say, you have the actual conservative ideological base. A lot of the Trump base is kind of fluffy, but they like where it's going and they're with it. They see issues and they see results. They're like, yes, that's our guy. So back in the old days, you'd be like, wow, I'm casting my vote for Mitt Romney, and I really hope some conservatism comes out of it. And really, no. And you talk a good game all the time. You're like, wow, we have those conservative principles. That's great. And you'd hear a little bit with him talking with donors, like, maybe that's not that great. But, maybe, hopefully, better than the Democrat anyway. Okay, not every candidate is effective. And this is not just American politics, this is European politics, because this is something that was written about Daniel Hannan's book, The Plan, which is about destroying the EU. And Daniel Hannan turned to fluff anyways, but this was all English politics, at least like 2 decades ago. Anyways, so the thing is that you even if you have a conservative candidate, you get into office and then you're like, hey, none of these levers really work. I can't change much because we have all of this bureaucracy and deep state and things, and it just doesn't work because you might at the head have a new idea, but it's all the little cogs beneath that won't move. Okay, Donald Trump was the only one to get in and bust up the cogs. And even if you're like, oh, well, there's more issues, there's more swamp to drain. We have all of these government agencies. You have, people in, CIA and stuff making up crap about Trump. And we have the Russia investigation, all of this nonsense that is trying to stop him. We have people like that seem big and butch, like Bill Barr. Yeah, Trump, I'm for your team. Chris Christie and Nikki Haley at the beginning. Yeah, we're for your team, Trump. And then they squish in the end. But Trump showed all of that. And Trump, even with all of the people against him, was able to move the needle. Trump is the only effective modern candidate for actual change going forward. And it freaks people out. And that's why they hate him. So it's like, well, Vivek, well, DeSantis, he talks a good game. It's like, okay, DeSantis has done some things for his state. And Vivek talks nice. But the actual physical, what have they done for you lately? What is the actual results when they're in office? How do they actually move things forward for people? And it was actually better under Trump. It actually worked out under Trump. And like I said, under a lot of Republican presidents proper and presidential candidates. And even if you look at how different people, like how John McCain, his political career went, or Mitt Romney, even when they didn't become presidents, they weren't conservatives, they weren't Republicans, they didn't, well, they're Republicans in name, Rhino, but they were, how did they actually work out for the people? And no, I don't trust anybody. I'm sorry, I don't. Sorry.
Well, Anne, thank you for
Don't
sharing that
care.
with us. I appreciate it.
Sorry. Don't care. Still voting Trump. That's my rant.
Anne will vote Trump, and you'll have to pry it out of her cold dead hands. That's the moral of the story. So
it is, and things are getting stupider. T-Mobile changed up their terms of service, so they now have this is the terms of service for mass texting, but it's still it's that slippery slope that people keep saying don't exist, that they won't let you use certain words that they deem to be inappropriate, like gun, for example, and other terms that they won't allow you.
what if you're talking about a gun that's not a pew pew gun, like a scanner gun or a
Yeah. No, that they have they have a whole list of terms, or if you were talking about as in Second Amendment rights, can't say it, that it won't let you do, and mass texts are, for marketing campaigns, but also political campaigns. So if, say, the internet went out and you wanted to have a mass text campaign about a news thing, that might be a way that would be implicated. I mean, YouTube and other social media companies, their kind of censorship has always been kind of jank and hasn't really changed from then to now. We got hit for a video that was like over a year old, that YouTube said, well, it's not exactly a flag, but we did take it down. So we got one of those. That was the one that included my rant about Daredevil and that hat I made. So bummer. It's on Rumble. You can check it out there. Yeah, I always hate to see a good Daredevil rant go to waste. But there was also something deemed to be misinformation in there. But anyways, things are going to get crazy. Stay normal out there.
Yeah. Do your best to, keep on keeping on with all the nonsense. Yeah, no, apparently if you need to know where Anne stands, you don't anymore, actually, because Anne will be writing Donald Trump. Will you be getting a tattoo of him somewhere?
No, I'm not a tattoo person, but
that's really
I'll
too bad.
consider it.
But don't forget to follow us. Don't forget to comment so you can enter to win your skein of Chicken Lady Fiber Arts yarn.
Yes, the beautiful icy blue yarn.
Yep,
it's lovely.
Use the code Cardinal20 PIK for 20% off of your purchase at chickenladyfiberarts.com. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Yes.
No, check out her other stuff. Absolutely lovely. I mean, this is beautiful, but she has lots of beautiful colorways She's coming out with new stuff all the time, and hat kits. She's doing a series with the national parks, which absolutely beautiful. Check that out. Um, yeah, check it out. Whodunit clues are shrimp and French, remember? But
Yeah.
yes,
Week 1 and week 2, shrimp, and then week 2,
shrimp,
French.
French.
Yeah.
Those are the clues.
So
And Amy tells me some of them may be bogus. So
yeah,
hopefully she wouldn't give us the bogus clues, but it's possible.
we don't know. You'll have to keep playing along and see what's up. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on Tuesday at Live from the Knitting Wars, and have a good one.
See you then.
All right, bye.